Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome to this wonderful meeting of table topics of Tigertales Toastmasters. I really hope we don't have any technical issues this time. With that, let's welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Hassan. Over to you, Hassan.
Thank you, Ajita. Sorry. Thank you all. Good to see you. I'm glad to be Toastmaster today for this meeting. And the theme of the meeting is the great unknown. And the great unknown is the meaning is anything which is not within the scope of existing knowledge, especially anything considered to be vast and beyond limits of a human comprehension or understanding, like God, the future, the universe, etc., etc. And since the dawn of civilization, humans have tried to know things which seem beyond their knowledge. Today's science helps us understand things that were great unknown for people centuries ago. Still, our world is full of mysteries. I don't have the power to predict the future, but I know for sure today we're going to have speeches, table topics, and 3 functionaries who will help the meeting run smoothly. And I would like now to call upon the functionaries. The first one is the timer. The timer today is Ajita.
Thank you, Hassan. I will be the timer for tonight, where I will be taking care of the timing rules. And to tell you that you are within time, I will first show you this green card. Then for speakers, the timing will be from 5 to 7 minutes. At 5 minutes, I'll show the green card. At 6 minutes, I'll show the yellow card. And at 7 minutes, I'll show the red background, where you will have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ajita. The second functionary is the R counter. I'm sure many of the guests will ask, what is the role of the R counter? Xavier, would you please tell us what's the role of the R counter?
Yes, I can. Good evening, everyone. I will be the odd counter tonight, on the watch for all of those filler words that sneak their way into our speeches and just our normal dialogue, and I will be counting them, and I will report at the end of the meeting. I'll be watching. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Xavier. The last functionary, the third, is the grammarian, Justine.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So tonight I'll be the grammarian. My role will be to pay attention to the use of the English language. I will specifically listen for strong and poor usage of words, and I will also track the usage of the word of the day, which is enigmatic. Enigmatic is an adjective. It means ambiguous, mysterious, or obscure. For example, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa is well known for her enigmatic smile. I have the word of the day moving around behind me so that you don't forget to use it. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Justin. As I said earlier, we have 2 speeches. So the first speaker will be Matt. Evaluating Matt is Alex, who is going to tell us what the speech is about. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Matt is making his way through his pathway, which is a pathway, and he's working in motivational strategies. So his pathway is all about how to bring motivation through his speaking. And this is an especially important project in that pathway because it's connecting to your audience. And so he'll be looking at all the different ways that he can connect to his audience, which would be especially challenging given this Zoom that we're in. So I'm looking forward to hearing Matt's speech and how he connects to his audience during.
Thank you, Alex. Before the meeting, I asked the speakers which mystery they would like to unravel. And Matt's answer was, a mystery I would love to unravel is how some people are able to see the best side of things and live on abundance, while others struggle to do that and tend to gravitate to the negative. What is in the abundant person that makes them that way in the first place? That's the mystery he would like to unravel. The title of the speech, which will be delivered by Matt, is Awesome Source of Leadership. Awesome Source Leadership, Matt.
Do it again. Do it again. We're never going to get this. You have to, in 30 days, this musical goes up on stage and you have to get it right. And after about 7 more days of hard work, we learned the time step. Mr. Toastmaster, Toastmasters and guests, if you've ever been a part of a high school musical, then you know the feeling of starting with nothing and creating something excellent. Is there anyone here who's not familiar with what the high school musical is? It's a very American thing. Is anyone that doesn't really know what that means? Sridhar and okay, Gaurav. So the high school musical is where every year students in a high school come together and you learn how to sing together, act together, you dance often, and you put together this show on a stage at the end of the year, and it's a lot of fun. It's really a blast. I really enjoy doing them in high school. It takes all kinds of cooperation and working together. And when I was in high school, I went to a small school out in the country, and we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of resources. We didn't have a lot of natural skill. And one year in 1997, they said, we're going to do 42nd Street. And this was a really hard musical, mainly because everyone had to learn how to tap dance, which was what I was trying to do in the beginning there. And we laughed. We said, no way, there's no way all of us from Waterloo are going to learn how to do that. But the director, the vocal coach, and the choreographer believed in us. They pulled us together and said, oh, yes, you are. You're going to learn. And we started 9 months early before the opening, which is a lot more months than a lot of high schools give to their musical. And we learned how to tap dance and how to act and how to sing together. Our vocal coach, our director, and our choreographer were successful leaders of us as students because they created a vision which kept us as people at the heart of that vision. And that's something that I've learned from. I want to talk to you tonight about what is effective leadership. And effective leadership is 2 things. First, effective leadership is people-centered. And second, effective leadership is vision-centered. So effective leadership is all about people. It is people-centered. It is not centered on numbers. Simon Sinek gave a speech in which he says, a truly good leader knows that accountability is to a person, not to a number. There's also an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. When I was in high school, we worked on this musical for 9 months. We did it because we knew that our teachers, the vocal instructor, the choreographer, and the director kept us as students first in their priorities. They were teachers. Teachers do this all the time. They keep their students first. They didn't care if they put a big musical up on a stage. They cared about us growing and us going through this experience and enjoying it and growing together. At one point in our rehearsals, I was complaining and I didn't want to do what I was supposed to do. And the vocal instructor grabbed a glass of water and she shot the water in my face, which was very embarrassing. I remember the feeling to this day in front of all of my classmates, water coming down my face. And if I did not trust her, I would have run away. But I knew that she kept me, that she had my best interest in heart. I knew she cared about me and I needed the discipline. And so I stayed and finished it out. And I'm glad I did. True leadership is also vision centered. And Brendan reminded me of a quote that I want to share with you. And it is by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. And he said, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men and women to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. But as we all know, it is so much easier to drum up the workers, create a list of tasks, and give orders than it is to actually create a vision and share it with somebody. Right now, I'm doing a project in my level 4 for motivational strategies, which is to create a small team of 3 to 4 people and carry out a project that will help the club. And our project is going to be to create this promotional video of people talking about their experiences in Toastmasters, and it'll help. And as I've been leading this small group, I'm realizing it is very easy to gather the people and to create the list of things we got to do and to plan meetings and meet and check our little check boxes off. But then I have to ask myself, am I really motivating these team members? And as I've been thinking about it right now, I'm thinking, I don't really know how motivating I've been. I'm more or less just going through, like doing the tasks and delegating. So I really need to think about that. And the question I come to is, why is it so hard to create this vision? And it's because it takes vulnerability. It really takes vulnerability for me to dig very deep inside and to believe in something and to verbalize that belief to someone else in front of them. It's easier to say, let's get together, get some Toastmaster stories, create a video, put it online, people will see it and want to join the club. Versus, we know that Toastmasters has changed our hearts, and we know that that story can be the same story for others. Let's go connect to some hearts. That's a lot harder. That's a lot harder for me to find the faith and the strength and the vulnerability to speak and to do. Here in Tigertales, we're very lucky because we have had leaders who have led us with vision-centered leadership. Corey and Alex are our club mentors, and we've heard them so many times, especially Corey, say, Toastmasters is the way to world peace. And that is a vision first and foremost. Each of us wants to be a successful leader, but along the way, do not get distracted by numbers and metrics. Keep the person first in your heart. And second, dig deep in your heart to know your vision and to have faith in it and to speak it to those who you're leading. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Matt, for this speech about leadership and also the purpose of Toastmaster, I would say. And thank you for showing us that you're also a good dancer. Maybe you can mentor me. Now we are going to take 1 minute to send feedback to Matt about his speech. Madam Timer. Time is up. Thank you, Adita. Our second speaker today is coming all the way from China, Ming Shu, and he will be evaluated by Gaurav. Gaurav, what should we know about Ming Shu's project?
Hello everyone. So today I'll be evaluating Minshu, and he is on level 1, project 3, research and presenting. I would be also looking for language fluency, confidence and structure. And I always love to listen for your talks, Minshu. So I'm really looking forward for your topic, silent love. All the best. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Oh man,
Thank you, Gaurav.
maybe you can turn.
Mami, could you mute yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know.
I also asked Ming Shu which mystery he would like to unravel, and he answered, I would like to know why father's love is always silent. The title of the speech is also Silent Love. Silent Love, Ming Shu.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Hello, everyone. As we all know, it is Mother who gave us life and nurture us. Mother's love is so great. But today, I'd like to talk about another kind of deep love, Father's love. And yes, this is the answer to Hassan's question. Father's love is a mystery to me. It's too abstract. My father is always a silent one. He doesn't take care of me like my mother does. He just takes all the responsibilities and never lets me know his difficulties. That's why I see his back the most. When I was young, I saw his back as he worked very hard at the workbench. When I grew up, I saw his back as he carried my backpack and my luggage. Now I see his back as he drops me off at the station and turns away. Time has left its mark on my dad. His back is no longer as straight, but he's there like a mountain. I had always felt that my father seemed to have a lot of faults, a lot of flaws, and I had no special feelings for him. I always whispered to myself when I was a kid, my dad is not cruel. He barely said a single word to me. But now I really realize that my dad is the greatest person in my life. When I was in college, the teacher of one of my classes gave us an assignment involved investigating family history. It was with this opportunity that I started to understand the difficult journey my dad had made along the way. I will never forget that afternoon when we sitting together face to face for the first time, drinking wine and talking. It was the first time that he told me what he really wanted to say. I asked him, Pa, could you please tell me some stories about our family? And he said, finally, you are interested in that. In this wonderful talking, I learned the story of his 2 years self-education in electricity and programming, and the story of his and my uncle's hard work to start a business. Although they split a factory like 10 more years later, for which Dad took on millions of yuan debts. But he made it, he survived. And without the restraints of my uncle, his steps were much more determined. And he single-handedly got the whole factory back to track, and moving steady forward. I saw Dad stop talking for several times during our conversation, and cocainely I heard a faint sigh as he avoided my gaze. He just spoke in a thick baritone voice that said, "It's just a drop in the ocean of what I was going through." And when he said he was tired, he got up and walked out, leaving me with his back turned. See, this is my father. And if he didn't tell me about his stories, I would never know what he's taken on for the whole family. All I saw was his back. What I couldn't see was his hardship of coming out from a countryside and his determination to start his own business. In my opinion, the word father's love is very abstract. In the meantime, mother's love feels more concrete. But the more I grow up, the more I understand, the more I can perceive father's love. It's far, it's far more anonymous than mother's love, but in my time of need, it can always present. One summer vacation, I just learned how to swim. Our family went to a big river to get cool. Father and I could not endure the summer heat to swim in the water. I knew basic swimming strokes, but I couldn't glide through in the water. I got a little tired after a short swim and wanted to take a break by the side, holding a round stone on the river bank. But the round stone was so bare and slippery with moss, that I couldn't keep my hand on it. I started to sink. I was so scared I had to dig the water very hard. But the more I struggled, the tighter the shackles of water has enveloped me. Then that come. He had lifted me up by my armpits, but I couldn't get free. He lifted me up for twice, and it didn't work. He was losing his energy, and me too. The third and the final time, I could feel the air around my mouth. Well, he lifted me up, and I quickly dug to safety. I felt the edge of life for the first time, but my dad just caught the knife of the death by his free hand. After I was safe, my dad told me he had no more energy for one more time lifting. I will never feel afraid along with my father because he can always lift me up just like what he has done. Dad, thank you. And why don't all of us tell all of our dads that we love them? That's all. Go back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ming Shu, for this heartfelt speech. Thank you so much. Now, let's send the feedback to Ming Shu. We have 1 minute for that. Time is up. I read this morning that studies show that improvisation helps deal with uncertainty, with the unknown. That's a good news because during our meetings, we always have table topics which help us improve our improvisation skills. Our topic master of the day today is Mami, who is currently in a favorite city of mine, Kansas City. I asked Mami what mystery he would like to unravel, and he said, one of the mysteries I would like to unravel is why are human beings intrinsically different? Mami, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, good evening. Welcome to this section of our meeting. As introduced by the Toastmaster of the day, this is a very exciting part of the meeting where you don't need to burn the midnight oil to prepare a speech. You can just stand up and speak off the cuff, very impromptu. But in order to qualify for the prizes for the table topics, you need to meet some criteria. And to help us monitor and make sure that the speakers during this section meet the criteria of qualification, I will ask some of our functionaries to help us and let the audience understand what are the criteria. The first will be Madam Timer. Can you please tell us what is the timing rule for the table topics?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. The timing rules for table topics are between 1 to 2 minutes, where at 1 minute, my background will turn green. That means you have qualified for the table topics. At 1.5 minutes, it will go yellow. And at 2 minutes, it will go red. And you have 30 seconds to finish your table topic speech. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Madam Timer. The second functionary to help us monitor the table topics will be the grammarian to make sure that the speakers use the word of the day. Mr. Grammarian, can you please tell us what word of the day the speaker should use to qualify?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. The word of the day is enigmatic. Enigmatic means ambiguous, mysterious, or obscure. For example, his two-sided personality is very enigmatic. One time he is very sensitive and sweet, and the next time he is very weird, enigmatic. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Masters.
Thank you, Mr. Grammarian. Now arrives the time of the truth. You just need to raise your hand to answer one of the easiest questions you would ever receive in a table topics that I have on the theme of the day, which is the great unknowns. And then you'll receive a question. Who's first? If I see no hands, I'm gonna be picking Let's see hands.
I'll go, mommy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, my first question here for you, Xavier, is this: what is a single enigma you would trade your life for? I'm sorry, a car was just passing behind me.
All is well. Your question was, what is the
What is
single?
a single enigma that you would trade your life for?
I trade my life for? Thank you for that wonderful question, mommy. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have thought about this of what is a single enigma that I would trade my life for? Because we find that life is mysterious in some ways, because a lot of us take a lot of different approaches to life. We have different cultures, we have different stories to share. So the biggest enigma that I could think of that I would want to find the answer for, trade my life time for, is to understand more people and their stories. Because I feel like that's worth living for, to get to know people and their story at a deep level, to understand how they function, what they think about, who they are. And I feel like Toastmasters has been the place to do that. And I was convinced of this as soon as I came to Tigertales Toastmasters, to be honest, because my first meeting, 2014, which is 6 years ago, and I hear a guy by the name of Sabor on the other side of the world, comes from an entirely different background, to share a story about how he is leading his country through a time that can to advance his technology so that Afghanistan can grow out of the poverty and scarcity that they've been going through. And he's helped to get that in a 5 to 7 minute speech. I knew I was in for. And since then, I've gotten to share my own story, but also hear stories throughout the world. If I were to count up all the countries that we've had over the years here, it's at least over 20 at this point, which is so exciting. And now I get to mentor people from Burkina Faso and China to hear their stories, even extended version. Ming Shuo shared an additional story about his father after his speech that I got to read today, and it is lovely. It talks about his family heritage, and that's all I got. So, out of time.
Thank you. Who's next? Who is next? If no one is volunteering,
Shrida.
Shrida. Okay.
I'll go
Thank
next.
you. Thank you, Shrida. Unknowns are unknown in life because of several reasons. Sometimes just because we are unable to discover and answer questions. Sometimes just because we don't want to know, because we are scared of the results or what is behind the unknown. Shrida, what is the unknown? What is the unknown that you would never want to discover in your life?
Okay. Thank you, mommy. So your question is, what is the unknown that I never want to discover in my life, right? That's a pretty good question. So if I think about something which is I don't want to discover is, yeah, maybe I tend to delay some of the work that is actually important. And so maybe I think that is the part that I probably don't want to discover. That's the unknown, which sometimes I feel, I mean, when I'm planning for things, I feel it's okay to do that, but actually it's not. I mean, I tend to delay things, certain things which are actually important to take care early. So maybe that's one of the unknown, or so that's the enigmatic part of my life. Maybe I want to probably don't want to discover. Uh, that's all from me, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Sridhar. Who is next for the third question? Who's volunteering? Okay, Destin. Discoveries in life, discoveries in life are sometimes huge, but some of them are just minor discoveries that help us in our life. What is the most salient discovery you've ever done for yourself that will ever help you in your life?
Can you repeat the question, please?
What is the most important discovery you've ever done in your life that you praise? Self-discovery.
Oh, okay, thank you. The most salient discovery that I've made in my life was realizing that people's opinion do not affect me, do not affect my performances. It do not it doesn't it doesn't affect my behaviors, and it doesn't affect my future. And growing up, I was very growing up, I would care about what people think about me, how people perceive me, and it really prevented me to express my full potential in some domains of my life. But at the moment that I realized that those opinions didn't have anything to do with my person, I really uh, I really discovered, I really knew what to do in order to be successful in life, in order to have a more important impact in my surroundings. Thank you.
Thank you, Destin. Madam Timer, do we have enough time for more questions?
Yeah, we can have two more.
Two more. Great. Then I need two more people. Who's first?
Gaurav.
Gaurav, okay. Gaurav, scientists agree that most of the discoveries in life are led by curiosity. When people feel uncertain about something and they dig deeper. What do you do when you face uncertainty? What do you do when you face uncertainty?
Thank you, Table Topic Master. I could relate to this question since I'm doing my PhD. I face uncertainty like every day, and the there are various enigmatic, you can say, things which are there in our research, also in my life. But in order to solve those uncertain things, I I personally take directions from my advisors, also not like specific to my advisor, but also from the people whom I meet. So it is like, it's not like all, you can say, suggestions would be useful, but mapping them up and just identifying which is the part where it will be solving that enigmatic uncertainty, that would help me to jot down things, prioritize it, and then tackle it. I've done it quite often. Of course, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But when it didn't work, it gave me the reason why it didn't work. So next time when I'm going through that process or like in that direction, I'm well aware that, oh, this is not the path which I should take. So over to you, table topic master.
Who's up for the last question? I'm sorry, I'm looking for
I
my
can
phone.
go next,
Okay,
madam.
okay. Madam Timer herself. We have a very famous saying in my culture. I know you might not know Guinean culture, which says that when you face uncertainty, you know what you know. You know what you know. What does that mean for you, Ajita?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, for such a wonderful and enigmatic question. Whenever we are faced with, the question is, whenever you're faced with uncertainty, you know what you know. According to me, whenever you're faced with uncertainty, your core values still remain the same. Even if the surrounding changes, you know what you know. That doesn't change. It's only the enigmatic things which you face and the way you tackle them, the way you attack them and solve it to your benefit is what really matters. So, if I were to think about one of the situation which I faced recently, where I came down to Virginia for a spring break, and then COVID hit, and I could never go back to Rochester. And I had to sit here and finish my thesis defense on the screen which I'm currently looking at. But I was so confident that I knew all my concepts, all my work, that it didn't really matter with all the given uncertainties, which didn't push me down. I was still able to finish all my work, defend it, and finally graduate. So according to me, if I were to think if I were to think about that proverb, it really talks about sticking to your core values and not getting affected by the uncertainties around you. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much for the speakers during this section for your enigmatic answers to the questions. Madam Timer, was everyone in the timing frame?
Yes, I believe everyone was on time, as I saw myself also seeing the yellow card. So I guess everyone was on time. Back to you,
Great,
Mr. Table Topics Master.
great. Thank you. Mr. Grammarian, was everyone qualified for the use of the word of the day?
I don't remember if Xavier used the word of the day, but I know that I didn't.
Okay.
So Gurav did, Ajita did, and Shoda did.
Okay. So then you will vote then for the best table topics speaker. Now I'm
Yes.
going to return the control to the Toastmaster of the day. Mr. Toastmaster, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mami. We usually have Shitra who does the polling. I don't know how to do it today. So what we are going to do is to text Mami and tell him who you vote for the best table topics. Now we are moving to another important part of our meeting, which is the evaluation section. And this section will be led by the general evaluator today, Sarah. I asked Sarah which mystery she wishes she could unravel, and her answer is, the biggest mystery I seek to unravel is why people act the way they do, the motivations of the human heart. Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. We could just be a group of people who get together and talk to each other, or don't get together and talk to each other through Zoom. But then we would just be friends, which is great. I like having friends. But Toastmasters is so much more than that. We challenge each other to grow, to change, to be better than we were when we stepped in the door or stepped into Zoom. That's why we have the evaluation section. Our prepared speeches today will be evaluated by other members. And I'll also hear from our functionaries, and then I'll give my thoughts on the meeting. To help us through the evaluation section, we're going to continue to rely upon our functionaries. I would like to ask Ajita to remind our evaluators, as well as everyone else, of the timing rules for evaluations.
The timing rules for evaluations are between 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I'll show the green card. At 2.5 minutes, I'll show the yellow card. And at 3 minutes, I'll show the red card, where the evaluators will have 30 seconds to wrap up. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ajita. And of course, everyone is welcome to use the word of the day in their evaluations. You'll get bonus points from Destin, which you can redeem at any time when you see him in person. Our first speech today was given by Matt. And as you know, evaluating him tonight is Alex. It's already been shared. He's a club mentor. He's also a distinguished Toastmaster, which doesn't just mean that we personally think that he's great, but it is the highest honor that Toastmasters has yet figured out to bestow on any individual. And only like 1% of 1% of Toastmasters ever do this. So Alex is the bomb as far as Toastmasters is concerned. So we're going to hear his feedback for Matt's speech, and we should all listen to it because he knows what he's talking about. Help me welcome Alex.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, for setting the expectations so very high. And thank you, Matt, for your speech tonight. You had a really wonderfully organized speech that brought us right into the beginning, right into it, because you put us in the midst of your story. It's always a wonderful way to start a speech, especially when you're looking to engage your audience, that everyone's wondering, what's happening? I mean, obviously the tap dancing brought us in, but then to the dialogue. And that method of bringing people into your speech by starting with a story and not telling a story, but living it out in front of us is a great way to get us all wondering what's happening here. Then you had great quotes throughout your speech that were well used and well placed. And you used the rule of 3 for each of your key points that successful leadership has. You had these 2, but each one of them had 3: people and vision. You had lots of great ways that you brought us into the speech. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of feedback about of constructive feedback about, one, how you could do the first part of your speech a little differently. And it has a lot to do with body language, because you brought us right into the story, but as you're living it out in front of us, one of the things to think about is how, if you're living, especially when you're living a story out in front of us, is setting the stage in our mind. So you do the dance step, which is really fun, and then do it again. But you did it right from the same spot. And so there's a part of our brain that's trying to set the stage. And why is he saying that to himself? But if you did the tap step and you just do a quarter turn, do it again. And then you come back to you don't even have to move your feet, because moving your feet in tap, everyone's going to hear that. But just that little quarter turn to become another character, you do it again. And then you're back and you're yourself again, doing that dance. That helps to set the stage. So you did this wonderful thing of living the story out in front of us. Help us set the stage in our mind. The other thing I would encourage you to do, and this has a lot to do with the speech writing of this, is everywhere you can, as you're writing your speech, cut as many words as you can. That so much of the wisdom of great speech writing is saying less. Learning how to make your story as concise as possible. And when you do that, you will end up saying some of the exact same things that you said will become these little rhetorical gems. And you can pause after those things happen. So you've got an incredible speech, great structure. You brought us right in with the story. Just those 2 little tweaks of setting the stage for us in our mind so that we can see it, and saying less to say more. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Alex, for living up to my high expectations. Up next, we had, our second speech tonight was from Ming Shuo, and evaluating him tonight will be Gaurav. Now, our speakers tonight were working on specific projects from specific pathways. Guess what? So is Gaurav. His next project is evaluating. So we have 3 folks completing the next step of their pathways, even though we only had 2 speakers tonight. Enigmatic, but not really, because Toastmasters focuses on all of the aspects. This is Gaurav's first evaluation here at Toastmasters. He has been taking feedback from the speeches that he's been given, and now he's ready to offer some of his own. Let's welcome Gaurav as he evaluates Ming Shuo.
Thank you, General Evaluator. Minshu, first of all, what an interesting talk. Like I always look forward for your talks. One thing you made us realize and highlighted from your talk was father's love. Your talk was so straight, just like your father's back used to be. It was like straight to the heart. And I like the way you used your hand gestures while standing like straight to the camera without playing any roles. When you said stone, when you said my father picked up from the shoulders, I could really imagine what is the process. Just by a normal hand gesture, it was like engaging. One thing the more importance you gave to your dad, I also liked you included your mom's love as well. Like, okay, mom's love is there, but also it is equally like you took the father's love equally to mom's love, actually, to that level by your explanation. I also liked the way you did the eye contact. I'm just ignoring the fact when you saw the red counter or like the red timer, immediately you're like, oh, my time is over. So not that one, but like remaining talk was good. And the transition in the roles, I like it because I will learn this from you. It is very quick. When you say, oh, my father, and immediately you be like this. So you don't take a long pause like, oh, what he is doing. So that is very nice. I will be giving you some feedback which you can work on. So the stories which you told, like the determining decisions of for your father's determining decisions for the company in order to sustain by the prior knowledge of his degree and programming knowledge with your uncle, and later the trip which you have taken. So you could have added a transition that, okay, you as a family used to go for trips, and in trip this happened. So that transition was missing. And I was yeah, that was one of the things. So when I would recommend the transition to be like taking place. And the last thing was when you stand, when you're not doing any roles, when you stand still, even I have a habit of shaking or like moving around. So if you stand and just present what you deliver and then you do the roles, that would be much more effective. So I always look forward in hearing and learning from you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Gaurav. If I hadn't told everyone, no one would have known that was your first evaluation. Excellent job giving feedback that was both uplifting and pushing forward. Up next, we are going to hear from our fantastic functionaries. We have several of them, 3 in fact. Let's first hear from our timer, Ajita. How'd everybody do today?
Both our speakers were exactly on time, just 2 seconds below time. So that was nice. Evaluators, both of them were on time, and all the table topics were also on time, except for the first one. All the table topics were on time. The first one was just exactly on 2:30. So back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Ajita. Up next, we have our ah counter, Xavier. Let's hear about the filler words.
Firstly, I'd like to take credit that 2.5-minute table topic exactly was mine. So there's a so for you as well. Unfortunately, no one went flawless tonight, and by flawless, I mean no filler words at all. On the good side, though, I can talk about what we need to improve on as easy as 1, 2, 3. First up, we had a prolific amount of likes from Gaurav. He kind of sounded like a Valley girl. And for reference, it's I was like, and you were like, amazing. So be watching for that, because like is your favorite filler word. The other 2 were a double word. Ming Shuo, especially, you had a lot of those. And I think it came down to confidence, which Gaurav talked about, you're shaking a little bit. I think both things were confidence. And what I want to tell you is your speech is too amazing for you not to be confident in it. And if I believe that, you have to believe that. So, and our final one, which basically everyone else was guilty of, and it's our favorite thing, is the subtle filler words. We know when you say or that it's very obvious, but the ones that aren't as obvious are the conjunctions so, and but. Because it sounds right, if you just look at the two sentences that you can connect any two sentences that way. But when your whole speech is just a run-on filler word extravaganza, but it takes away from your speech. So these are the ones that we have to look out for everyone else, because everyone else had at least one or two, which is pretty good, but we could be better. Thank you, and back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Xavier, for finding all of those unnecessary conjunctions. Finally, we have our grammarian, Destin. Can you please give your grammarian report for us?
Thank you, Sarah. So the grammarian report. Ming Shu, I noticed one good usage of the language. I mean, among all the good things that you did, I particularly noticed the usage of the structure. The more I struggle, the tighter the tank was. And one improvement maybe, you said the father's love was anonymous. I don't know if anonymous was the appropriate adjective there, but silent would have been perfect for that. And you also did a great job with the use of the rule of three. Sridhar, at one point of your speech, you said something like, things that are important to take care. You just missed the of at the end, important to take care of. And I was confused, sorry, with the expression enigmatic uncertainties. It just seemed like a repetition to me. Yeah, Mr. Toastmaster, in the beginning, at one point you said, this morning I read. I think it would have been this morning I read. And overall, everybody did a great job. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Destin, for pointing us all in the right direction. Generally evaluating, I don't have a whole lot to say today. I think our meeting went quite well. I did not note the time that we started, but I do know we had to wait for one of our speakers. Not going to call you out. Other than that, we had all the roles filled and everyone giving their all. I think we had a great meeting, and I would like to return control of it to our Toastmaster for the evening, Hassan.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm having a problem with my headset.
Yeah, we can
Thank
hear
you,
you.
Sarah, for the feedback. Thank you also to the functionaries. We voted for the best table topic speaker, and now it's my duty to declare the winner. Drum roll, please. So the best table topic speaker today is Ajita. Congratulations, Ajita. Thank you all. Now I'm going to take off the hat of table Toastmaster, and I'm wearing the hat of the president of the club. Thank you all for this amazing meeting. We had really interesting. Thank you, Mami, for being the table topics master, even though you are traveling. I think you might be in Kansas City now. And we have also Jie and her sister who joined us today. And I would like to ask if Shuanglin, is the pronunciation correct? Chuanglin.
Hi.
I would like to ask you to give us a feedback about the meeting. What do you think about our meeting?
I don't think she heard you, Hassan.
Sorry?
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Hassan, I guess she didn't hear you. Can you repeat the question for her?
Sorry, Shuanglin. I think I
Hello.
would like you to give us a feedback about the meeting. What do you think about the meeting and the club?
Oh, it's very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your feedback. It's really good to have you today. I hope you will join us next week. We have also our meeting as usual on Wednesday from 7:30, New York time, Eastern time to 8:45, which might be, I think, 7:30 a.m. in China where you are now. So thank you all. What is G saying? I have to meet because I didn't. Okay. Thank you all for being with us today. I hope you'll all be there next week, and I hope we'll have Shuanglin and Jie with us, and maybe they can take part to the table topics. Thank you all. The meeting is adjourned. I'm on my headset today.